Everyone's chasing viral videos, but here's the thing, viral doesn't always mean profitable. Today, I'm sharing how to monetize your expertise with low views without posting 3 or 4 times a week or without dancing for the algorithm on social media. Hi, this is the Wisdom to Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Shamar Star Cox, where I get to interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. This is actually a solo episode where I'm going to walk you through how you can actually get sales, how you can monetize from your videos with low views as opposed to going viral. I'm going to share my journey with you and what it was that I went through, how much money I made actually going viral, and how much money I made not going viral. I am your host, Shamar Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners get seen and get paid by creating binge-worthy videos on social media. I am also the founder of the AI Content to Cash Challenge. Yes, I have upgraded my challenge from Convert Content to Cash to AI Content to Cash Challenge, where I show you how to use AI tools in order to create content that sells in 5 days or less. So if you want to be able to get access to my brand new improved AI Content to Cash Challenge that is launching, we're kicking off on July 7th, where we'll be showing you how to use AI tools in order to grow your business and create content that sells. All you have to do is DM me the word challenge accepted, and I'll personally send you an invite to the challenge. So thank you so much for joining me today for this solo episode of Wisdom to Wealth. So I want to share with you my journey when I first started posting content on social media. I was going viral on social media. So let me actually take it back. This was about 2018, 2019. God told me to start telling my story on social media. And I started doing that. But I would always see people talking about how much money they were making on social media. So I always thought to myself, the more followers you get, the more money you make. Like, who am I talking to right now where you think if I get a lot of followers, I'll make a lot of money on social media? That was the mindset that I had. So I just kept thinking to myself, if I go viral, then I'll be able to get a lot of followers and I'll be able to make a lot of money. So fast forward to 2020, God tells me to start creating content full time on social media. And I start doing that. I'm posting my videos on Instagram. I'm posting my videos on TikTok. And guess what? I'm going viral. I went viral at least 4 times. Ask me how much money I made going viral 4 times on Instagram and TikTok. $0. I didn't make any money going viral on these platforms. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I thought the more followers I get, the the more I'll be able to make money. And I just did not know what was going on. Right. And so I remember going back to God and I said to him, hey, my follower count is going up, but my bank account is not. And God said to me, it's because you have nothing to offer. So here I was thinking that if I just grew my following, I would be able to get sales, only to find out that the reason why people are making money on social media is because they actually have something to sell. And that was the biggest transformation for me. I've had clients come to me where they expect me to teach them viral secrets so that they can go viral on their platform. And then they think that that's what's going to bring them in money. But actually, I have learned that if you go viral, but you don't have the right message, you're not going to get any sales at all. Right. So during my journey, I started to make offers to my audience and I recognized that my content stopped going viral. So I probably haven't gone viral in maybe 4 years or so. As soon as I started selling to my audience, making offers to my audience, my content no longer went viral. But guess what? I actually made 6 figures in my business and I kept doing that, making 6 figures in my business. So I recognize that even with low views, I can monetize my content. Why? Because of the messaging and who I'm speaking to, right? So for those of you who are in here, you're business owners, if you have any questions, you can feel free to drop questions in the chat. But this is the Wisdom to Wealth podcast, right? And I like to share my journey on how I build my business and grow wealth in my business and show you how you can do it too. You don't have to go viral just to get sales, right? You don't even have to have a large following just to get sales. The most important thing you need is your messaging and who you are targeting. Because even if you're getting 200 views, 300 views, like there was some point where I went from getting viral views, like hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views on my content, to getting less than 1,000 views on my content. And I was still making like $900 from a video, $10,000 from my content strategy, right? So you don't need to go viral to do it. You just got to have the right messaging and you got to have the right audience in order to do that as well, right? So the power of the right audience. Last year, I remember I was in my third year in my business, or maybe that was my second year in my business. Um, and I hosted my 5-day challenge, Convert Content to Cash, right? And we had about 26 people in that challenge. That was the most people we've ever had in the challenge. And I'm thinking to myself, this is amazing because my conversion rate is 21%. So I should be able to make this our 20K month that in that month, right? And the people in there, they were so blessed. But when it came time to sell, ask me how much money I made from that challenge. Possibly $300. I don't even know if we made that much, right? And I learned a valuable lesson that even though I had all these people in my challenge, right, where I was showing them how they can build their marketing systems so that they can sell to their audience, I had the wrong people in the room. It didn't matter how many people were there. I had the wrong people in the room. So therefore, I was barely able to convert. I walked away feeling so defeated, so frustrated. Every excuse I received, the excuses were always like, people were going through some detrimental things last year. I had people in the room who were going through a divorce, people whose their cars were repossessed, they were missing payments on their mortgage, and they used their last monies to join the challenge. And when it came time to upsell them, they were just like, no. So I had the wrong audience in the room, and it was very much frustrating. Hey, Shari, how you doing? Hey, Superstar Ministries, how you doing? So it was super frustrating, and I learned that day that when you have when you have the right message and the wrong audience, you're not going to get any sales, right? Like that hit home for me. But guess what? I didn't just learn it from my experience. I also learned it from Jesus's experience, right? And I always like bringing up Jesus because I love teaching Bible marketing secrets. But there is a point in the Gospels where Jesus goes to his hometown Nazareth, and he goes there to perform miracles. But because the people don't believe in him, he's not able to perform much miracles. It says that the people didn't believe, so he can barely perform miracles there, right? Okay, clearly it doesn't say that verbatim, but that's the gist of what it says. And so he goes up the block to Cana, where he's able to perform even more miracles because he had the right audience that was there, right? And so that's when I realized right message, wrong audience, you will not get sales. You will not convert the people at all. You want to make sure that you have the right message and the right audience so that you can actually convert. So some of you are probably wondering, well, how do I know if I have the right audience? Well, I want to share with you how you can tell if you have the wrong audience first. And then from this, you can gather if you have the right audience. If you are selling to your audience and all you keep hearing is, I can't afford, that's too much for me, that's the wrong audience. You have to shift your audience, right? And so what I did was, when I kept hearing, when I had all those people in my room and they all were like, I can't, I'm just starting out, this, and this. What I did was the next day, I shifted my audience. I said, no more speaking to these types of people because they're not the right fit for me. Right. So I went to ChatGPT. Yes, I said it. I love teaching on AI tools. I went to ChatGPT and I said, I need to speak to a new audience. These are the services that I have. Who could benefit from this service, right? And so when I did that, that's when ChatGPT started to show me who are the business owners that I should be speaking to. And it turned out the biggest thing that I was missing with the people that I was talking to was that uh, they were beginner business owners, right? So the people who weren't buying, they were beginner business owners. They wanted to build a business, but for them, because they were at the beginning stages, they weren't able to invest. Their mindset wasn't there yet. They still thought like employees. So I shifted my audience to speak to people who are already at 6 figures so that I can help them to scale their business. Why is that super important? Because if you're already at 6 figures, that means you already have a proven system, right? Not only do you have a proven system, but you already have the work ethics to continue to scale your business. Oftentimes, when people are just starting out, they have an employee mindset. They're waiting for you to tell them what to do. They're waiting for you to walk them through how to create their schedule so that they can actually be able to build. They don't know how to sell yet. They don't have any systems set up yet, right? So not only was it extra work, but they just didn't have enough belief in themselves to keep on going. But if I was talking to a business owner where they already were established, they already had a work ethic. So all I had to do was come in and tell them, hey, tweak this, do this, and do this. And because of that, my clients get really fast results. Like when I worked with Marianne, because she already had built a business before and now she was building a business online, she was able to get 60,000 leads from the strategies that I shared with her. But that's because she was already experienced as a business owner. She already had the work ethic. So when I understood, okay, talk to business owners where they're already at six figures, they're already at seven figures, and show them how to scale using content, that shifted my business. I started to bring in a different type of mindset. One more thing, right? Not only like who am I talking to, but their personality type. There's probably a lot of you in here where you hear gurus telling you, you got to choose your dream client. Who is your dream client? Who are you going to speak to, right? So I was doing that. But the one thing that I was missing was, what is their personality, right? Because I could be speaking to these dream clients, but if they are lazy, if they are procrastinators, if they are fearful, stuck in perfectionism, they're still not going to do the work. And they're going to procrastinate to invest. They're going to be too lazy to invest. If they're depressed, they're not going to invest. So I had to identify what was the personality type of my dream client. And my personality type of my dream client are high achievers and high performers. Why was that important? Because in order for you to get to the next level in your business, that's the mindset you got to have. You got to be the person who's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to my next level. When I shifted that and I started to speak to those people, I started bringing in clients who were already at 40K months. They were already at 50K months. They were already making $500,000 in their business or even $1 million in their business, right? And just that tweak alone helped me where I don't have to go viral. If I just create content that speaks directly to them, then they're going to come to me anyway, right? And then also having specific marketing strategies can help you to attract your dream client as long as you have the right message and the right audience. All right, so Superstar Ministry says, absolutely, I've been struggling with that. Yeah, that's a real thing. Hey, Coach Karen, how you doing? Coach Karen says, MA is so important. Great timely message. Yes, absolutely. And then Shari says, that makes sense. It is so important that you have the right messaging, the right audience, and that you have the right personality type for your dream clients so that when they come into your business, especially if you have a coaching business, right? When they come into your business, they're able to invest and they're able to do the work as well, right? So making sure that you have the right audience and then making sure that you have the right message. You don't have to worry about going viral. I have monetized from my content. Actually, I was just telling my LinkedIn coach the other day, I told her from my live videos, because I really love going live. I told her from my live videos, I probably get about 1 to 2 leads per live video, right? And then they actually convert. She went to my page. This was on LinkedIn. She went to my LinkedIn page. She says, oh my goodness, you don't even get a lot of engagement, but you're still getting leads and sales. And I'm like, yeah, here's why. Because my dream clients are actually lurkers. They may not engage as much. That was something I had to understand because I'm very big on you need to increase your engagement so you can get more viewers, you can get more followers, you can actually get the sales. But what happens when your audience lurks and they don't want to engage? They don't want to save, they don't want to share, they don't want to comment. How do you sell to them so that they can buy? Right? So there are certain strategies that I had to put in place in order to get the lurkers to showcase themselves so that they could actually buy. Right? So me understanding my audience behavior allowed me to create content in a way that still attracts them to me. So if you're in here, you're like, that's what I need, then, we can talk about it even further on this podcast episode, because some of you, it may just take some tweaks to your messaging. You can always tell if your messaging is working based on who you are calling, right? So I also got this, there's a principle when it comes to your messaging. I don't want to say I made it up, but I've observed this, that whoever you call will come. Whoever you call will come. So if you're putting out content that's actually calling people who are telling you I can't afford, they're calling people who's telling you that's too much, right? You're calling them. So you may have to switch your messaging, but also switch your audience too. That's super important, right? So that is something that was really big for me. That really helped me. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to talk about is actually reframing your mindset, right? So, like shifting your mindset when it comes to social media. How many of you have heard so many gurus say, I was able to grow to 100,000 followers in 30 days? I got 10,000 followers in 2 days, right? Like, I hear that all the time, and it can be so frustrating, annoying, and braggadocious at the same time because it's like, well, I'm doing the same strategies and my following is not growing that fast, right? Now, that may have worked for them, but the reality is social media is a long-term strategy. Your marketing period is a long-term strategy, right? Your job as the business owner is to get so good at your marketing that it's working for you even when you're not showing up. So for me, when I first started putting out my content, yes, I was going viral. Yes, I was growing my following very quickly. But as soon as I shifted to actually selling to my audience, then my virality stopped. The views wasn't going up as much on my content. You can check out my content. You'll see it's low views, low engagement. However, monetizing is simple. My monetization has gone up, right? We're hitting six figures in the business, 10K months, 12K months, 15K months, right? Because it doesn't matter if not a lot of people are seeing your content. What matters is the right people are seeing your content. So shifting your mindset, like, okay, this is a long game strategy. I want to make sure that I put out the content that's actually going to reach my dream clients so I can see the difference in the dollars. Why do I have to bring this up? Because sometimes I'll get people who come to me where they're like, okay, like I'm working the strategy and I don't see results. It's only been a day. It's only been 2 days. You don't even know your audience behavior yet. You don't even know what your audience likes to see yet. Whenever I'm working with my clients, there are three things that I share with every single one of them on what you need to know. Those three things are what content to create that grows your following, what content to create that gets you engagement, and what content to create that gets you sales. If you do not know these three things, then you still need to keep putting out content so that you can understand that. The goal is to know this by heart so that no matter if you're showing up on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok, you can produce this type of content to always be able to get the results that you want. So I'll bring up Jasmine. Jasmine is an artist that I worked with, and she told me, girl, um, after working with you, I now know what content to create that gets my audience to buy. How many of you would love to know that type of would love to have that type of clarity? Where if you put out this video, you know they're gonna buy. That's what happened with Jasmine, and she got 18 sales from a video that she put out because she knew her audience was going to buy. Christina, she knew what content to create that got her audience to follow and buy from her. When she put out that type of video, the video went viral and she got viral sales at the same time, right? So our goal is to show you the content that you're creating that's going to actually bring in these metrics for you, so you're not throwing spaghetti at the wall. Now, does that mean that as soon as you learn the strategies, you're going to know that? No. It takes time. You got to study the behavior of your audience. You got to know what they like. You may start off creating one type of content, turns out they like another type of content, right? So when you're doing social media, it is a long-term game. But what I will say is that it is rewarding because you don't have to pay for ads. So I've built my business to six figures without paying for ads, right? So in 2023, I was making 8 to 10K months in 2023, and that helped me to scale to $117,000 without paying for ads. In 2024, I said to myself, let me increase my efforts by paying for ads. Like, how many of you have ever heard if you pay for ads, it will add fuel to the fire and you could bring in a lot of leads and a lot of sales, right? Well, I decided to pay for ads in 2024. Ask me how much money we actually made. Probably $300, probably. And I was investing $1,800 a month into ads that included hiring the person to pay for the ads. And we probably brought in $300. Organically, 117,000. When I had to pay for it, $300. That's why I'm not a fan of ads, especially when the messaging is, we'll help you to be able to make money fast. You'll be able to reach more leads. Sure, we did reach more leads. It was actually April 2024 when I had that challenge that a lot of those people came from ads. So I was thinking to myself, oh, we're going to be able to convert because the ads are working, only to find out we weren't. We weren't able to convert because it was the wrong audience. So my ads was going to the wrong audience. So eventually I had to turn off the ads. and I was able to continue to scale our business. We made 97,000 last year just organically because those ads did not convert. The ads just ate up the money, right? So that's why I like teaching organic content. And again, not you don't have to worry about the views. The goal is to really understand your audience behavior, what's getting them to follow, what's getting them to buy, and what's getting them to engage, right? So understanding that social media is a long game strategy. And here's the thing, where I'm not talking about social media posting 3 or 4 times a day, hopping on this trend, doing that trend. I'm talking about social media marketing. Whenever I'm working with my clients, I'm actually showing you marketing strategies. Why? Because if your marketing right now is just word of mouth and referrals, that's great because you can build your business successfully with it. But if you want to be able to scale within your business, then you're going to have to increase your marketing effort. That means more people are going to have to see you. So we show you how to use your social media in order for you to market to your audience, right? Now, here's the thing. That's the skill that I had to learn. When I first started posting on social media, I'm a TV producer. I worked in television for over a decade. I have mastered the craft of telling stories in short form videos, um, building audiences internationally through television production. And then in 2020, God called me to quit my job. And so what did I do? I quit my job. Was it easy? No, because y'all remember what happened in 2020. It was a pandemic. Luckily for me, I quit before the pandemic happened, because if I would have waited, I wouldn't have quit. That's the story for another time. But by faith, I quit my job. And when God told me to start creating content full time on social media, I was scared. I was afraid that I was going to be judged. I was afraid that people were going to make fun of me. I was afraid that I was going to embarrass myself. I was going to mess up. So I was so scared, right? And then as I started getting comfortable being on camera, God told me to start selling to my audience. I was scared again. I was afraid that I was going to sound salesy. I was afraid that people were going to give me the look that's like, oh, all you want is money from me, right? Oh my goodness, that thing scared me so much. But then, in addition to being afraid to sell, I felt like an imposter. It didn't matter how many years I had in television. I felt like I felt like a failed producer in my career, because my goal as a TV producer was to climb the ladder to become CEO of NBC. That did not happen. God told me to quit my job before that could happen. So I felt like I failed in my career. And here's now God telling me, start creating content full time on social media, start selling to your audience, making offers to them. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to help these people? Right. And I was trying to show up as like a content creator, social media manager, until one of my friends reminded me, girl, you are a TV producer. You got paid TV production money. These hands has touched films, music videos, and TV shows. You don't need to show up like a social media manager. You need to show your people how to produce content that sells. When she said that to me, I was like, you are so right. And I started to shift, right? And I started to show my audience how to create content that sells. I had to get out of my own way. So there are some of you in here where the only reason why you're not seeing the sales that you want to is because you're in your own way. You're playing small. You're telling yourself that social media is for the young folks. I'm not that young. I know I look young, but I'm 37. I'm a millennial. For those of you who are millennials, telling yourselves millennials just don't use social media. It is not true. Social media came out during our time. We I don't want to say we grew up on it, but over the last 2 decades, we have owned it, right? For those of you who are baby boomers, you're looking at me and you're thinking to yourself, well, you're a millennial, so it works for you. I'm gonna tell you right now, the majority of my clients are baby boomers. They're either, well, millennials, of course, over 40, and then baby boomers in their 50s, in their 60s. My client, Marianne, where she got 60,000 leads, she's in her 60s and she's on TikTok, right? The whole point of her being able to be successful in her business is because she got out of her own way. So, in order for me to show up, I wouldn't even have this podcast right now if I didn't get out of my own way. God had told me to start this podcast last year. And last year was the darkest season of my life. When I mean, there were some days I couldn't get out of bed. There were some days I cried all day. There were some days that I wanted to give up. I felt hopeless. I felt I had no beliefs. Like, that's how bad last year was. And do you know that in the midst of my darkness, God said, start your podcast. And I'm like, why? Why would I do such a thing? I don't feel like light, but I had to get out of my own way. And when I got out of my own way, I started interviewing the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. And you know what I learned? That everybody goes through stuff. Everybody goes through dark days. Everybody has the world attacking them. Everybody has friends turning on them, family members turning on them. Everybody goes through it. But are you going to let that stop you from being a blessing to your audience? Or are you going to let it fuel you to show up and be the light? In my dark season, God was shaping me, right? He was shaping me so that I can show up and withstand the trials. What I have learned with some business owners, when they're just starting out, they can't withstand the trials. They are accustomed to receiving a security check every 2 weeks or on the 1st and the 15th. And as soon as that gets removed, they start freaking out. They make decisions from a place of fear, and it's hard for them to create the content that's actually going to sell. When it comes to building the marketing and sales systems, they don't have the tenacity and the grit to keep on going, right? And so what did I do? I shifted my audience so I can speak to the people where they've already built so that they can continue to build more. But I had to get out of my own way. And so for those of you who are listening now, what's holding you back? Because wealth is your promise, right? That's something that God has promised every single one of us. He said, I've given you the power to get wealth. That word power means ability to do. But where is that power? That power is in your content, it's in your business. But you got to get out your own way. If you keep telling yourself, I'm too old for this, if you keep telling yourself, I don't like video content, if you keep telling yourself, but I feel like an imposter, I'm afraid to sell, you're never going to be able to reach more than just your local community. And there's some of you where you've been called to high profile podcasts. There's some of you where you've been called to bigger stages. And the only thing that's holding you back is you. And so you got to get out your own way. I had to get out my own way as well, right? Superstar Ministry says, that's me right now. I believe it's just hard right now. And here's the thing, during your hard season, Superstar Ministries, you have to renew your mind. Renewing your mind. Like for me, when I was going through my tough time, I had to learn how to regulate my nervous system, right? There's a video. Let me see if I could try to find it for you and I could drop the link in the chat for you if I can find it. There's a video where this woman, beautiful woman, she shows you how to regulate your nervous system using scriptures. And I really like her. I just shared her with a couple of people. I don't know if I'll be able to find her for you. All right, I may have to add her like afterwards because when I'm trying to talk and look at the same time, it's kind of hard. So yeah, I have to add her link to this video afterwards so that you can actually get access to it. But it took me that whole time when I was going through my tough time, I had to learn how to regulate my nervous system and I had to release all my false beliefs that were holding me back. That was my biggest issue. I had false beliefs that was holding me back and I had to release every single one of them. And God had to give me new beliefs. So it was my season of healing. So Superstar Ministries, I know that you'll be able to get that. All right. Coach Karen says, speaking of podcasts and in my own way, what about starting a podcast when you don't really have an audience? So, Coach Karen, that's actually what happened to me when I started my podcast. Well, I guess I did have an audience on social media, but I didn't have an audience for my podcast. So what did I do? I made sure that I did the thing that was super simple to me. If I had to pre-record the podcast episode, edit the podcast episode, try to figure out how to post it was never going to happen. So what did I do instead? I started going live. Like that's why you're watching this podcast right now. It's live. It's live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram right now, right? So I started going live with the podcast. The other thing I did, Coach Karen, was I did not go live by myself. So the first 45 episodes of this podcast is with other people. Why? So I can leverage their audience and they can leverage mine. So if you don't have an audience, start interviewing people, right? Like my podcast is called Wisdom to Wealth. And this is on purpose because my goal is to interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. Whenever I introduce that to the guests that I want to interview, in their minds, they're like, yes, I'm a wealthy entrepreneur and business owner. Of course I'll be on your podcast, right? So it's more likely for them to say yes because of how the messaging is for the podcast. And in doing that, I can speak to their audience. They can speak to my audience as well. So if you don't have an audience right now, make sure that you interview people who do have an audience, and then you can be able to leverage that. Awesome. Yes, Coach Karen says that makes sense. I do teach podcast strategies to my audience. I don't teach it the way that other podcasters teach it. Our goal is to show you how to use your podcast in order to build your audience and monetize. Like that's how we teach art. So that's what I use mine for. Awesome. So that's what I have for you all today. I hope that this episode blessed you. I'll be back again possibly no, not next week. Next week we're taking a week off from the podcast because we have our AI content to cash challenge launching on July 7th. So if you're someone who's in here, you want to learn how to use AI tools in order to create content that sells, then DM me the word challenge accepted, and I'll personally send you an invite to the challenge. The Convert Content to Cash challenge is a challenge that we've been doing for 2 years, but I recognize how much more business owners need AI in order to create the content for them, in order to be clear in your messaging, and in order to sell. So I decided that during this challenge, I'm actually going to show you AI tools that you can use in order to create content. I have live videos that I do Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern with my friend Kwanda, specifically on YouTube. And those videos perform very well. So we recognize that there's a hunger for people to learn how to use these AI tools. So if you are not posting video content because you always run out of things to say, if you're not posting because you're afraid to be on camera, we're going to show you some tools in the challenge that you can use in order to create content, but not just any content that sells. So if you want to join us, DM me the word challenge accepted. I'll personally send you an invite. If you're on YouTube, you'll get access to the link in the show notes of this podcast episode. I just want to say thank you all for tuning in today, as well as engaging with me. Y'all have a great day.